Friends, today we have not only an incredible person, but also my friend, Suresh Ediga. You probably heard of him because if you are following NRI Samay, then he has done interviews, several of them indeed. It is hard to describe Suresh in one word. If I have to try, it would be inspiring. That would be the word. He spreads around his positivity around not only in the team, but across whoever he talks to, then the positivity is spreaded. So he touches several communities, both in US and also in India. Then he's also part of several organizations. Couple of examples is AID, that's AID, and PFL, People for Lok Satta. Is two organizations that I know that he's part of, but there are many to name. Then he's also has done a remarkable job, and so we want to talk about the projects that he's working on and what inspires him and what else he's doing. So Suresh, I want to begin with the flyer that we posted. You are carrying some tools. So can you tell us again what you're doing that?
Right. So this is post Sandy storm cleanup efforts that me and a few of our friends have taken up together, and this was the fourth trip to Breezy Point in Queens, New York. And the picture actually is an end-of-day picture where we are carrying back all the tools that we used, and I'm just showing off one of them. So it was in sub-zero temperatures that we had to work. So we were wearing layered clothing, gloves and caps and everything. But despite that, we could still feel the cold. But an hour later, all the cold went away, and one of our friends, he actually had to relax by, taking out all the layered clothing. He was down to his T-shirts. So you could imagine a lot of hard work went into that whole day for like entire six hours.
Okay, I mean, you guys were doing cleanup for the Hurricane Sandy aftermath, and it's been a couple of months now. So why are volunteers still there? And I mean, it's a U.S. Which is a developed nation. Shouldn't it have been done by the government by now?
Well, the level of destruction, Sri, is such that it wiped out thousands and thousands of houses near the beach areas, near the waterfronts. What that meant is a lot of people have to be evacuated because there was no heat, there was no power, there was no running water, and there was so much destruction that was caused. The post-Sandy cleanup initiatives had to be done in multiple phases. So, for example, the phase one was just to throw out all the damaged furniture, clear out the whole area. Phase two was, you rip out the walls and the floorings because everything got affected with water, which means the mold is growing. So we had to disinfect everything, and in some cases, and most of the cases, we had to rip out everything. And then comes the third phase where all these organizations, the FEMA or New York State or even the federal organizations, they come in with all the money that has been given or approved by the Fed, the $62 billion or something, where they would come in and lay new walls, new floors, install new heaters, and repair their water connections and everything. So that's why the initiative itself has to be done in multiple phases. But the fact remains that the third phase won't happen until the first two happen completely. And for the first two to happen, we don't have enough organizations who come in and do all this work because it involves a lot of manual work. For the third phase, you need to put a wall. You already have something prefabricated. You walk in, you install, and you're done. So that's like a day job for anyone. But you have to clean up a house, throw out all the furniture, rip out all the floors and the walls. There's a lot of manual work, and there's not enough manual power, manual labor to actually do that. And a lot of people actually, have the same question, just like you have, Sri, that This is a developed country. This is like the 4th month after Sandy storm, and by now everything should have been cleared out. But if you see the media coverage these days, it has gone down tremendously. No one is actually going into the streets, into the affected homes, and spoken to the people who were evacuated from those places. So one is lack of media coverage. Obviously, no one knows the exact situation. And number 2, like I just told you, the sheer magnitude of the destruction is what is causing this, cleanup to be like prolonged. And I don't think people will actually come back at least until a year or 2.
Wow. So where are all these people staying now? People who are staying in those houses, they had a beautiful life, I guess. And this is New York and New Jersey, so one of the richest areas, especially if you take the Jersey Shore. I think there's pretty expensive area. In the
Right.
Long Island there's a lot of working class people in Long Island, I guess, right, who are commuters to the downtown, who are working in New York downtown. So where are they right now?
Well, I can speak to the people in Queens or Breezy Point, places where we went, and the Fed had actually given alternative accommodation in the nearby motels or other areas for, I think, till January 1st week or end of January 2nd week. And after that, I don't know whether they had sort of renewed this alternative housing. So at this point, I'm not sure whether they are still living in the motels that got extended. And few of them are actually living with their relatives, in upstate New York or even down in New Jersey. But there was one other person who we met this time around. His house was obviously completely damaged because it was right in front of the beach. And this person happens to be an ex-NASCAR race driver. And he is now living in a nearby parking lot in a RV. And that's his accommodation. He has been there since Sandy hit. That's his temporary accommodation. So he was saying that he's still waiting for the insurance checks. He's still waiting for the FEMA funds to arrive. So right now he I think got his house all cleaned up. The walls were all ripped out. The floors came out. So now he's waiting for FEMA to come in and help restore his house.
All right. And so once, I guess this must be really hard for them. But other aspect is the financial aspect. So their houses were gone, and especially in U.S., house is once in a lifetime, and that's where all the investment and all the monthly bills go to. Is insurance covering most of them or all of them, or is government doing anything? Do you know anything about that?
No, I mean, like I said, the federal aid that has been released will definitely help them, provide them all the expenses for renovation, getting them new heaters, new, floors and walls and so on and so forth. So that, to a certain extent or to a large extent will help people to go back to their lives, but it just will take a lot of time.
Okay, all right. I want to talk about maybe one or two more issues. Then we'll talk more about you, which is probably more difficult for you. But so let's see. You are also working. You're campaigning for the Vidarbha farmers' families, right? Families where the farmer has committed the suicide, and we have thousands and thousands of such families, especially in Vidarbha area, which is one of the hardest hit areas in India. So you are doing some fundraising. Can you tell me how it's going to help the farmers, and how exactly does this work?
Yeah, so I actually happened to see this post on Facebook from Mr. Kishore Tiwari, who works very closely and has been doing this for like a number of years now. Works very closely with farmers and the farm widows, and he's involved in fighting with the authorities and trying to get compensation for the widows, and so a lot of these he has taken up a lot of these efforts. And I responded to one of his posts saying if he can provide me, the post was specifically for the helping the Vidarbha widows. So I said, if you can provide me information, the actual details of the farm widows that you are trying to help, then I can sort of, go back to my friends and other networkings that I'm part of and see if I can raise some money. And this money is by no means saying that if we give this money, they'll be out of their drudgery. No. This is only a temporary relief where we are saying that, like, for example, there was one widow who had to pay the fees for her son, right? So that's like a temporary relief. It's not going to take her out of the debt and the current situation, but it at least will solve one of her problems so she can focus on the other aspects and then move on, try to fight back and try to get her life back. And so this relief that we are trying to provide is just to give them that temporary break. And this has to be, right now the scope of what I'm taking up is, 10 farm widows. Certainly want to extend this to 20. But at some point, I definitely need to start thinking on the lines of how we can sustain these initiatives. Is there anything more that can be done? Because a lot of people actually came forward to help, and the few people I spoke to offline, honestly, they didn't hear about Vidarbha so far, never. And forget about farmer suicides or the farm widow situations, nothing. So this initiative is also another a way to create awareness about the ground situation, because the more people know about it, the more people will come forward to help out. And this help need not be just financial all the time, right? It can be, you write about these things, you talk to your friends and family, or you can participate in some online campaigns to help out the Vidarbha farm widows. And these online campaigns do really work. Like, you participate in the phone campaigns, call them up and put pressure on them. You can file RTIs from here, ask them how much compensation was released, how much actually was given to the farm widows, get their details. So a lot can be done irrespective of where you are. And I think that stages, so I want to take this project in multiple stages. And so maybe like phase 3 or phase 4 is when we will start talking about sustaining the interest that this initiative has created, at least among the 10 or 20 friends that have reacted so far. And I'm sure there are more people who will definitely come forward.
Excellent. Actually, Kishore Tiwari was on NRI Sama earlier, and he described about some of these ground-level realities. But I want to ask you another question on the same topic. You are saying we'll raise funds and help at least few. It's impossible to help everybody, but at least few, which is also a temporary help for them.
Right.
So what is the sustainable model, not for us who are willing to help, but for them, which is
right.
a sustainable living model? What is the end goal, if you already thought about it?
Right. So I think, like I said, I haven't gone into details much, but I did. I'm actually reading up a lot on the Vidarbha farm widows right now. And a few things that caught my attention was there are computer trainings that are being provided for the farm widows. There are some, because these the farm widows, right, are very young. They are like in between 20 and 30 years old, and they have a lot of potential to update themselves, come up to speed with the latest technologies. Forget about whether they are educated or not. It really doesn't matter, right? But these are some things that they can easily pick up. and they can use some design. They can do some design courses on it. They can, teach someone else also about the basic computer knowledge. So there are those things going on. And then there are self-help groups also that Mr. Kishore Tiwari has been working. And another friend of mine just posted on Facebook that he himself made a self-help group. So I want to understand what those self-help groups are doing, how they are involved. And because if that model is working, then that's the way to go. That's you want to encourage those sort of initiatives. You want to get more money into those sort of initiatives so they can expand and they can sort of build a framework which can automatically help themselves, because we know how reluctant the government is in terms of either admitting the current issue, and if they don't even admit the issue, then there is no need for them to justify any relief efforts. And I recently saw, as part of my the study that I was trying to do, I recently saw there is some initiative that Maharashtra government has taken where they're saying something on the lines of revamping Vidarbha completely. So they're going to invest in mining, they're going to invest in some tourism, they're going to invest in some industries. And it was shocking to see that there was no mention of agriculture as part of that initiative. So it's to expect something from the government. Yes, we should definitely try to leverage whatever resources we have, try to fight for whatever rights we have to fight from the government. But at the same time, these are some of the things that can be done even without the government's undertaking, because these are people's lives at stake. That we have to first take care of the people, then you can go to the government, do all these fights, raise RTIs and all those things. But we have to first address the core issues, and that is people.
Absolutely, and many people say that how much can we do, and this is a gigantic problem which is very well known, but how much can we do is several people who ask, and you are taking the approach, whatever we can do, we'll do. We may not be able to solve all the issues, but I think this area is very important. I want to ask you about another organization that you're very passionately working on, which is People for Lok Satta. Can you tell us briefly what are the things that the organization is doing right now?
So I think I've been volunteering. I like to call myself volunteer, nothing more, nothing less, because volunteer to me is the single most powerful word and single most powerful person. So I've been volunteering for about 8-9 years now, and somewhere along the lines I realized that whatever we are trying to do, whatever we are trying to help as individuals, as groups, as other organizations that are not part of the system, not part of the government, is definitely required and must be done. But that's not enough, because you have to ultimately address the core issue, and that is it can be policy implementations, it can be lack of government will, lack of political will. So the answer to the underlying questions was that these have to be addressed politically as part of the system. We have to make sure that sufficient infrastructure, sufficient frameworks are available. And that led me to start looking out for what are the somewhat open political platforms that are out there where I could see and invest my time and effort in. And that's where I came across People for Lok Satta. It was not People for Lok Satta yet, but there were a few volunteers who I happened to meet. They were on the street, literally. They were actually distributing some flyers, and I remember walking up to them, and that's how I joined. And then, as part of People for Lok Satta group, we trying to organize ourselves, trying to build our resources here, trying to create more political awareness. That's what I think. At least I'm doing, that is to build the political awareness so I can talk to my friend just like how I talk to them about, movies or cricket stars or movie stars. I can talk about, there are some people People for Lok Satta who went back to India to fight the elections. And that is not something, I haven't seen anyone actually do that. There are youngsters like us, and we are, comfortably sitting in our, drawing rooms, watching the news, criticizing the politicians. But here there are two individuals who went back and they started doing something, which, we don't see that often. So we want to help those people out. We want to help them to at least, make a dent, at least make an impression, so that there is hope for the future, political aspirants. So it's more of political awareness, trying to help out whoever wants to fight this battle politically, and that's how this organization and my involvement has been.
Okay, that is awesome. I have Srikanth Kosalkota also. He would like to ask you a few questions. There is a lot of demand to ask you questions. So, Srikanth Garu, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, excellent, sir. Go ahead.
Sorry, we are just going on a different note right here, discussing about various important topics. But I want to step back a little bit, ask you, how do you pick a social cause? That's the fundamental thing, right? That's where we all start off. How do you pick a social cause?
I mean, honestly, I never actually think about what to pick, what not to pick. It just happens to, I just take notice of some things that I either read about somewhere or I hear about it, and then I start digging into it. The thing is, even with this Vidarbha project or with the Pochampalli project that I had taken up a few years ago, there was a solid ground team that was coordinating everything, that was managing everything, that had a clear idea as to how they wanted to take this initiative forward. And that to me is the key, because if I go to my friends here in the U.S. and ask them for money or for their time, I want to show how that is being utilized in the most transparent way possible. And if I can't do that, then I can't ask anyone anything. So I think as part of my, digging into any issue that I can take up, if there is anyone at the ground level who is able to take this forward, then that's it. And otherwise, there's no such like criteria or anything like that. I'm just operating on my own. So that's pretty much what I do.
So that substantiates that you have 100 ears and 100 eyes, right? A lot of people don't see it, and you see it.
Well, yeah. I mean, see, the one of the things that.
I'm surprised because this is a kind of surprise, because most of the times when I see the Facebook posts, when I see various different topics that you're talking about, I wonder why in the world I'm not seeing it, or am I gone blind, So when I see it, when you're saying that whatever comes to my eyes, whatever I see, whatever I hear, that does mean that Suresh Ediga has got more ears and more eyes than us. Am I true?
Honestly, I don't think that's the case. But it's just that to me, this is part of who I am, and this is part of my responsibility. Just like how I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm an employee. I'm already doing these many roles, different roles. I'm playing these roles day in and day out. And I'm sure you are doing the same thing, and everyone else is doing the same thing. There is not one person who is just restricted to one role. There are many roles and many responsibilities. And to me, I just have this one additional responsibility, that I'm also part of a larger thing called society. And I have an obligation to that society. I have a responsibility to that society. And once I treat that as my responsibility, then I will find the time to do it. I will find means to do it. I'll find a way out to do that. Just like how I, despite my busy schedule, I'm sure you also do the same thing. You take your kid to the park. You try to go to the movies whenever you have a break, right? You go to the restaurants, or we do something,
right.
good. We go to the temples. We find time for everything. Just like that, I find time for this, and it's as simple as that. So when I start treating this as responsibility, it becomes like one day work, like all in a day's work, right?
Right.
So,
right.
And that basically how I look at things. So there's some issue out there, and if I can't do anything about it, then that's like maybe it's a war in Iraq, which I cannot do. Probably I can still do something, but I'll be restricted in how I operate because I being an Indian citizen in the U.S., so on and so forth. But I think to answer your question, that it's basically my responsibility, and if I feel responsible about something, then I definitely will do something about it.
No, this is what it is. People are not born social activists, right? They're just born like that, and there might be some transformation that will happen. At least for me, when I was in the college, of course, there were weird caste politics. I got dragged into it, and then there are many things that happened out there. But everything teaches a lesson, I have leadership qualities, how to engage people, how to plan, how to execute, so many things that you learn about. So when is that you started doing all these kinds of actions? This Suresh Ediga doing work for Vidarbha farmers, doing work for Akshaya Trust, the Narayanan Krishnan's Trust, Suresh Ediga working for Bhopal gas tragedy, Suresh Ediga working on Sandy cleanup. It doesn't happen like that. There are some background or some backdrop that makes him do that. When did it all start, Suresh?
I wish I could give you a dramatic answer, like one day I was walking on the beach when I saw this angel, or or I was sitting under the Lord Buddha in the tank bund, and that's when this enlightenment happened. That's what my wife was joking last night. But nothing of that nature happened. Nothing dramatic happened. I think it was more of a natural progression, and I honestly don't even remember that I had something in me that makes me do this, or there was no one particular incident. It was I remember when I was a kid, my father was, I don't know if he was a colony secretary at that point or he was just a member, but there used to be a bus that would go through our colony, and our colony had a very narrow road. And so it was raining heavily in the rainy season, and the road was cut off, which meant the bus wouldn't go anymore. So all the people had to walk for a kilometer and then take a bus. So my father grabbed a few of his friends, and he also pulled me into that. And I was kicking myself, why am I doing this in the hot sun? Why is my father making me do this? Well, all my friends are playing something, and I was really angry. But I never thought about this incident, and even today I don't know what kind of impact that incident made. I have no idea, right? But it just, I think, came even my friends when I was a kid. We happened to catch someone who stole something from someone. He was running away, and all my friends grabbed him, and they were kicking him. They were abusing him and doing all that. I was the only one who was trying to stop them from doing it. I was like, okay, let him go. And he didn't steal anything big or anything, because obviously there would be a police case or something, right? So right. I think I was, in a way, a bit sensitive, I would say. When Kargil War happened, that was, and that time was when I joined as a graduate trainee. And my first paycheck, I just gave it to the Kargil War Welfare Association because I was seeing the images on the news. And as soon as I got my first paycheck, it was not, I think, much. It was about some 3,500 rupees or 4,000. And I just gave it away. I didn't even think twice. Same thing happened here when I came to the U.S. Around about that time, 9/11 happened, and I was still a student. I paid $1,000 out of my credit card. Didn't matter who I was paying, but I had to react. I saw something, and I had to react. I cannot stay not doing anything, and that's one of my problems also. If I don't do, and I think that I should do something, then I don't feel that's me. That's not me. And so I don't know how. if this answers your question, but yeah, there's no dramatic answer or any incident that I could quote.
Pretty much, I think you've covered a lot of insights on what it's strong roots. It's like you mentioned your dad was taking initiatives. That's sufficient. Those are the striking things that you see and learn really quick. Positivity is something, or doing some social work, you get dragged into it looking at the other people, right? So now I understand that where you come from. So when you pick a cause, it's the fundamental question is, where do I start and where do I end? A lot of people out there are willing to help. Of course, when I was talking to Sanjeev Sablok yesterday night, he was mentioning that it's really hard for any Indian, right, now middle class or whoever it is, to take out that one paisa and then give it to the other. That is a big, gigantic step for him. And that's where our politics fail, that's where our NGOs fail, that's where our society has failed. So he says that the root cause of the problem is people unable to take out that single pie and then giving it for a cause, So when you will go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're saying something. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I think I have a slightly different opinion here, right? Because over the years I've taken up, quite a few initiatives where, obviously I could never do anything on my own, right? I had friends and their friends and their friends who all came together and helped out. And what I realized is there's a lot of good people around us. There are a lot of good will around us. There's a lot of good intentions around us. We don't have to look even any further. There's everything right where we are. It's just a matter of making things transparent. It's a matter of making those problems or present those problems in a way that people can understand, right? If I'm here in the U.S. and I talk about issues in Chhattisgarh, right? How can I make my friends correlate that, or forget about correlating? How can I make my friends just understand the gravity of those issues? How can I make a friend here understand what the Vidarbha farm widows are going through? How can I make my friend understand what the tribal people in Srikakulam are going through? Or how can I make my friends understand the weaver problems in Pochampalli, right? And that's where the challenge lies. So once you're able to bridge that gap and make sure that you have a transparent mechanism established, then you will see that you can not only make a significant contribution to that project, you can actually make it sustainable. Pochampalli was a classic example, and I'm really happy that the project took off and it is moving in the direction that it meant to be. And I mean, there's still a lot of work to do, and I've been slacking a bit on that front. But so far, whatever we thought we wanted to achieve in like 2 years down the line, we are able to do it. And thanks to many of my friends who came together, and they I said they were asking all these questions, and so I dragged them onto a conference call. So they spent like an hour with me on the conference calls trying to understand how they weave the sarees. So now I know how they weave the Pochampalli sarees, and so I was able to explain to them. So that I think that's where the gap lies. Once you're able to bridge the gap, I think it becomes very less difficult to manage.
Excellent point. I think we have I'll have to come back on so many things that you've mentioned. We have another incredible guest right now with us, Suresh Ediga garu. Madam garu, if you are on call, namaste.
Namaste, Andy.
Thanks for joining, Andy. I know it's you've been managing kids and a lot of other things, and you just have a social activist right besides you. I want to ask you a question, Madam garu. Social activism is not easy, and people want Bhagat Singh to be born in their next house, not in their own houses, right? It's really that tough. And so family is important. Without your support, it's not going to happen, right? Suresh doing so many things is not possible. What are your insights about Suresh, and how does he balance life with other things? I don't want Suresh to talk about it now.
Yeah, he'll be busy because he involved in so many things. But he spends time with children, and he always makes sure we are happy. And I'm proud of what he's doing because not so many people do like this. So I can understand, and I'm happy. I want him to continue what he's doing. Yeah.
ఇది మాత్రం అంటే నేను ఐ హ్యావ్ టు టాక్ ఇన్ తెలుగు, ఎందుకంటే ఈ సెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఈ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఉంటేనే అండి. నాకు వీ హ్యాడ్ హరీష్ హాండే అని ఈజ్ వన్ హూ హెస్ బ్రాడ్ ఇన్ సోలార్ పవర్ టు రూరల్ ఇండియా అనమాట, ఇన్ కర్ణాటక. ఆయన ఒక మంచి మాట అన్నాడు. ఆయన, if you're seeing a good social activist, he said, look at his wife. He definitely will be having the best caring, understanding wife just besides him. So I think మిమ్మల్ని చూస్తుంటే that's the sense I get. And contemplating each other, complimenting each other, and then realizing the fact that whatever he does makes a lot of difference is what I see. So I think ఇప్పుడు సురేష్ కూడా హీస్ కనెక్టెడ్ టు చాలా కాజెస్ కనెక్ట్ అయి ఉంటారు కదా ఆయన. ఇట్స్ నాట్ లైక్ ఒక కాజ్ కాదు. నేను ఈ ఫేస్బుక్ లోనే ఒక 10-15 మెన్షన్ చేశాను. అండ్ నాకు కొద్దిగా ఐ ఆనెస్ట్లీ హ్యావ్ సమ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఐఎమ్ వెరీ క్రిటికల్ అనమాట. అంటే ఒకటి ఏమైనా చూడంగానే ఆవేశం వచ్చేస్తుంది, కోపం వస్తుంది. ఈయన చూసి చాలా నేర్చుకున్నాను అనమాట. ఈ కోపాలు, ఈ ఆవేశాలు కాకుండా ఏమైనా చేయగలిగేది ఏమైనా ఉంటే చేద్దాము. ఈ రకమైన కరెక్షన్ చాలా మందిలో వస్తుంది అనుకుంటున్నా ఆయన చూస్తే. సో ఇన్ని కాజెస్ కరెక్ట్ అవుతుంటే ఇట్స్ ఎన్ ఇన్కన్వీనియన్స్ కదండి. మీకు ఎప్పుడైనా అట్లా అనిపిస్తుంటుందా?
లేదండి, ఎందుకంటే తను చాలా కూల్ గా ఉంటారు ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ఎప్పుడు, అండ్ వెరీ పాజిటివ్ నేచర్. సో ఎవ్రీథింగ్ తన దృష్టిలో తను చూసినప్పుడు తను ఏదైనా చేస్తే బాగుంటుంది, అండ్ హీ వాంట్స్ టు ఇన్స్పైర్ అదర్ పీపుల్ ఆల్సో. సో అండ్ కాబట్టి నాకు ఏమంత డిఫరెన్స్ అనిపించదు. తన ఎమోషన్స్ లో ఏం తేడా ఉండదు ఎప్పుడు. తను ఎప్పుడు ఒకటేలాగే ఉంటారు. సో నో ప్రాబ్లం.
యా, కానీ అండి నేను అవుట్ సైడ్ కష్ట నష్టాలు ఉంటాయి, చాలా సమస్యలు ఉంటాయి. ఇట్స్ నాట్ దట్ సింపుల్ అనమాట. మేనేజింగ్ టైం, మేనేజింగ్ కిడ్స్. ఇందాక మీ అమ్మాయి వాయిస్ విన్నాను, చాలా స్వీట్ గా ఉంది. మెన్షన్ దట్. అండ్ కష్ట నష్టాలు ఉంటాయి, లాభ నష్టాలు ఉంటాయి, డబ్బులు పోతుంటాయి, 100 మంది కాల్ చేస్తుంటారు. సో ఐ వాంట్ బి లిటిల్ బిట్ క్యాండిడేట్ హియర్. గొడవలు అవుతుంటాయా?
లేదండి, తక్కువే చెప్పాలంటే. మేము ఎక్కువ అలా గొడవలు ఏమి అవ్వవు. మేబీ సైలెంట్ గా ఉంటాను జస్ట్, అండ్ దెన్ ఓకే తనకి ఇది ఇష్టము, తను చేస్తున్నాడు అని చెప్పేసి ఇంకా దెన్ మళ్ళీ మామూలు అయిపోతామన్నమాట. అంతే, అంతకు మించి ఇంకా ఏం ఉండదు.
మంచి మాట చెప్పారండి. ఎందుకంటే మా మదర్, మేము చిన్నప్పుడు గొడవ చేసేవాళ్ళు. మేము 3 పిల్లలు అనమాట. మా మదర్ అంటుండేవాళ్ళు, దీనికోసం గొడవ చేయొద్దు, నాకు ఇష్టం అని చెప్పరా, నేను వదిలేస్తా. సో మీరు చెప్తుంటే నాకు అదే అనిపిస్తుంది అనమాట. నాకు ఇది ఇష్టం, నేను చేస్తానంటే చేయగలిగేది కూడా ఏం లేదు. ఏదో మీ కోఆపరేట్ ఆర్ ఇట్స్ టఫ్. యా, మంచి పాయింట్ రైస్ చేశారు. సో
అండ్ తను ఎప్పుడు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు, నాకైనా కిడ్స్ కైనా. సో అండ్ మమ్మల్ని ఇన్వాల్వ్ చేయడానికి కూడా ట్రై చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. సో రైట్ నౌ కిడ్స్ చిన్నగా ఉన్నారు కాబట్టి ఇన్వాల్వ్ అవ్వాలంటే కొద్దిగా కష్టం. సో నేను అంత ఎక్కువ ఇన్వాల్వ్ అవ్వను, బట్ నాకు అన్నీ చెప్తూ ఉంటారు ఏం చేస్తున్నారు ఏంటి అని చెప్పేసి. సో యా, తను చేసేది ఇట్స్ అ గుడ్, కాబట్టి నేను కూడా తనకి సపోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను.
ఓకే ఓకే. జనరల్గా అండి ఈ మన సోషల్ యాక్టివిజం అనేది ఇది ఏంటంటే ఇది ఒక ఇంటెన్స్ డొమైన్ కదా. జనాలు ఇట్స్ ఇంపాక్టింగ్ లైఫ్స్, రైట్? సో ఫోకస్ చేయటం కానీ ఈ రకంగా మనం ఒక పని మీద ఫోకస్డ్గా ఉండటం కొద్దిగా కష్టంగా ఉంటుంది, అండ్ కొద్దిగా భయంగా ఉంటుంది. ఈయన ఎప్పుడైనా నేను ఫోకస్ చేయలేకపోతున్నాను ఇట్లా ఏమైనా చెప్తుంటారా?
యా, అప్పుడప్పుడు న్యూస్ చూసినప్పుడు కానీ అలా ఉంటుంది తనకి. అండ్ ఆఫీస్లో ఎక్కువ వర్క్ ఉంటుంది, సో 2 బ్యాలెన్స్ చేయడము అలా ఉంటుంది. బట్ జస్ట్ ఫర్ సమ్ టైమ్ దెన్ తను ఎప్పుడు ఐ థింక్ ఆలోచిస్తూ ఉంటారు, సో ఎలా దీన్ని సాల్వ్ చేయాలి అని చెప్పేసి. సో అలా తనకి ప్రాబ్లంకి సొల్యూషన్స్ కూడా దొరుకుతూ ఉంటాయి.
అండ్ ఆల్సో ఇప్పుడు ఈ ఫేస్బుక్ యుగంలో కూడా ప్రతి వ్యక్తి ఈజ్ నాట్ ఎ సింగిల్ పర్సన్, వాడి వెనకాల ఇట్స్ ఎ హ్యూజ్ నెట్వర్క్. సో ఐ థింక్ సురేష్ ప్రెషర్ చాలా వరకు తగ్గిండొచ్చు కూడా, ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పుడు నేను శ్రీకాంత్ అంటే ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఎ సింగిల్ పర్సన్, నా వెనకాల నా ఫేస్బుక్ ఫ్రెండ్స్ లో 500 మంది ఉంటారు. సో ఇట్స్ లైక్ ఈ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ నెట్వర్క్ రావడం వల్ల సురేష్ యాక్టివిజం సీమ్స్ వెరీ రెలవెంట్ ఆల్సో, ఎందుకంటే స్ప్రెడింగ్ అక్రాస్ ద మెసేజ్, తొందరగా రీచ్ అవుట్ అవటం, ఇవన్నీ కూడా హెల్ప్ చేస్తాయి కాబట్టి. ఈయన ఎప్పుడైనా మీతో మెన్షన్ చేస్తుంటారా, అరే ఈ కాజ్ నేను కనెక్ట్ అవ్వలేకపోయానే, ఈ కాజ్ నేను కనెక్ట్ అవ్వలేకపోయానే, ఇది చేయాలనుకున్నాను, ఇది చేయలేకపోయాను, ఈ రకమైన అడ్డంకులు వచ్చినాయి, ఇట్లా ఏమైనా చెప్తుంటారా?
యా, కొన్ని మనం ఇండియాలో గవర్నమెంట్ ఇష్యూస్ అలా ఉన్నప్పుడు కొన్ని చేయడానికి కుదరదు. సో అప్పుడు ఎప్పుడైనా మెన్షన్ చేస్తారు. బట్ యూజువల్గా అంత ఎక్కువ ప్రెషర్ నా మీద ఏమీ ఇది చేయరు. సో తనే అన్ని చూసుకుంటారు.
నాకు రజనీ గారు ఒక మంచి క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతున్నారండి ఇక్కడ. ఆవిడేమంటున్నారంటే, ఇస్ దర్ వన్ థింగ్ దట్ మేక్స్ హిమ్ అబ్సల్యూట్లీ హ్యాపీ?
పీస్ అండి. ఎక్కడైనా, ఇంట్లో అయినా బయట అయినా పీస్ ఉండాలి అని అనుకుంటారని నేను అనుకుంటున్నాను. సో దట్స్ వన్ థింగ్.
ఫ్యాంటాస్టిక్ మేడం గారు, ఇట్స్ ఎ గ్రేట్ ఆనర్ టు టాక్ టు యూ. ఎందుకంటే ఈ రకంగా అర్థం చేసుకోవడం కూడా కష్టం. నాకు రోజువారీ ఇంట్లో కాన్వర్జేషన్స్ లో, అదే ఇప్పుడు మీరు అన్న బేసిక్ ఫీచర్స్ ఆఫ్ సురేష్ ఏం చెప్పారంటే, చాలా పీస్ఫుల్ గా ఉంటారు, చాలా కామ్ గా ఉంటారు, చాలా క్వైట్ గా ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేస్తుంటారు అంటారు కదా. నేను కొద్దిగా స్లైట్లీ డిఫరెంట్ అనమాట. ఐఎమ్ వెరీ ఇంటెన్స్, గట్టిగా అరుస్తూ ఉంటాను, మాట్లాడుతూ ఉంటాను. కొన్నిసార్లు మా ఇంట్లో వాళ్ళు ఈ కేకలేంటి, ఈ అరుపులేంటి, ఈ గోలేంటి, గొడవ ఏంది, ఆ సమస్య ఎంత ఇంటెన్స్ గా ఉంది, నీ సమస్య కూడా అంతే ఇంటెన్స్ గా ఉంది, ప్రశాంతంగా కూర్చొని మాట్లాడుకుందాం అని అంటుంటారు. సో ఎప్పుడైనా ఇట్స్ లైక్, చెప్పండి, యూఆర్ సేయింగ్ సంథింగ్.
యా, అంటే తను జస్ట్ మీటింగ్స్ లో ఉన్నా కూడా తను వర్క్ చేసుకుంటున్నట్టు కూడా మాకు తెలియదు. ఎందుకంటే తను ఇంట్లో కిడ్స్ తో కూడా ఇన్వాల్వ్ అయ్యే ఉంటుంటారు అనమాట. సో చాలా మటుకు తను అలా మాతో టైం స్పెండ్ చేస్తూ వర్క్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. సో మాకంత ప్రాబ్లం అనిపించదు.
వెరీ గుడ్ మేడం గారు. శిరీష గారు, థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ ఫర్ కమింగ్ టు అవర్ షో అండ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయినింగ్ ఈ అదర్ సైడ్ ఆఫ్ సోషల్ యాక్టివిజం. ద బెటర్ హాఫ్ ఇస్ వెరీ క్రిటికల్ కదా. సో ఐ థాట్ ఇట్ వుడ్ బి వండర్ఫుల్. మీతో మాట్లాడితే కొద్దిగా మంచి ఇన్సైట్స్ వస్తాయి, మాకు కూడా నేర్చుకోవడానికి ఒక అవకాశం దొరుకుతుందని. ఐ థింక్ వీఆర్ ఆనర్డ్ అండ్ డిలైటెడ్ టు హ్యావ్ యూ.
థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి.
థ్యాంక్స్ శిరీష గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ. సురేష్, సో వాట్ డూ యూ థింక్, సార్?
Wow, that was definitely a very pleasant surprise for me. This really made me very, very happy. Yeah, definitely. I'm very happy to hear Sirisha talk about me directly on NRI. He probably would not say these things directly to me, I guess, but it took an NRI interview to say it. But yeah, honestly, having two kids, one is 6 years, the other one is 7 months old, to manage them and put up with me is definitely something incredible. Whatever time I spend on the computer, over the phones, in the meetings, is all thanks to all, because she's taking care of these two kids, and she is definitely the one person, that even when I get angry, she said that I never get angry, but I do get angry, get worked up, like with the whole Delhi, the rape issue and so on and so forth. Like Sirisha is the one who, unfortunately is the person that gets my inner these things directly from me. So she has to put up a lot.
Exactly. And then Suresh, it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. And we thank her, because your impact is incredible. The impact that you're creating is incredible. So it's thanks from all of us here from NRI desk as well, and all our listeners as well, for sure. Suresh, this is something that I wanted to really bring it up. But even before I start off, we have a question from Sarvani. Sarvani garu, she's asking, has anyone criticized you? If so, what's the most common criticism you received?
I don't know if anyone has criticized. You mean criticized me for the work I do, or or in
anything,
general?
Suri. It's just not that case. Every social yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think when I initially started out, I remember I was trying to work on a website for an organization that I was volunteering for, and I had no idea what a website is, and I had no idea. And I got the first time I laid my hands on computer was in 2002, I think. That's the first time I ever touched a computer. So I had no idea what a website was. So I was struggling, Googling, spending a lot of time on building this website. So one of my friends, sorry to my friend for to quoting him, but I won't take his name. He said, this guy needs help. So I still remember those words. He probably doesn't even remember that he said it because he was just making a casual comment. Because they were all stepping out either to go, play something or do something else, and I was staying back to get this work done because it was bothering me inside my mind that I have to get this done, I have to get this done. So he once said that I definitely need help. But beyond that, there were not criticisms, I would say, but there were definitely questions around, what's the guarantee that all the money that you're, sending this to them? No one actually said that I'm, siphoning off the money or anything. No one actually said that. I think I've worked hard to get at least maintain that kind of transparency. But they were like questioning, okay, these organizations that you're helping with, what's the guarantee that they're going to put this money to good use or, things like that. I think these are conversations that cannot be generalized. These have to be dealt on a one-on-one basis. And like I said, each one has their own perspective. Maybe it's their experience in the past that is making them say this. And so I cannot just rule that person's opinion or that person's criticism. I have to take it in my stride and see what more I can do to help him, make him comfortable. I can have him directly call this person, or I can have him directly go meet that person. So there are other ways that can be dealt with. There was one anecdote that I'd like to mention in a minute, real quick. I happened to go to this New York embassy once, where one person invited me for Shashi Tharoor, who was then the Undersecretary General. He was he wrote a book on Nehru, and it was like a book reading ceremony held in the New York embassy. And I was the coordinator of the CRI chapter back in 2004, I think. And he said, I'm going to introduce you to all these big people who come there. They'll definitely be helpful for your organization. Why don't you come and pitch for CRI? And I said, yeah, that's fine. So I took off from my work. After work, it was at 8 o'clock or so. I went there and I meet all these big people in this, with Shashi Tharoor under one roof. And after the book reading ceremony was over, this person was kind enough to introduce me to everybody around. And there was one person who was in his 60s, I think, and he was, shaking hands with everybody in that room. So he's supposedly a well-known person there. And he came to me and said, so I heard you are a coordinator for the CRI chapter. Do you know what CRI does back home? Or do you know how these funds are utilized? And I said, yeah, we help out kids with their education and other kind of initiatives. And he goes, no, that's not what happens. They use this money to promote Christianism. They use this money to convert Hindus into Christians. And he was ranting on and on about all this. And he was actually wearing a saffron dress. I forgot to mention that. So he was some kind of a Hindu religious leader. So it's criticisms like that really upsets me and bothers me and angers me and frustrates me more than anything. Because these are, if these are people in somewhat influential circles, and if these people have this kind of a view, this kind of a perspective, then it's very, very dangerous that they should even be allowed to speak in the public forums or wherever they are. They should not even be invited to any place, because they are just spreading this hatred, they're spreading this sort of divisive thoughts.
Very sure, very true, yeah. Yeah, I can definitely understand what you're talking about, Suresh. Yeah,
Right.
that kind of comments basically takes the attention away from what's needed there. And
Exactly.
you're right. We have Ravi from Cincinnati, Ohio. I have a flurry of questions coming in here, Surya. I think I have to drop off on all my questions. We have Ravi from Cincinnati, Ohio, asking, what are some of the challenges that you face? How do you reach out and convince people? I think you have already mentioned on how you convince people. You give their contact numbers. You make sure that as much transparency is maintained in the whole transactional process. So I think that answers Ravi's question on a whole. If you want to add something to that, please go ahead.
No, I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much.
So we have Vinod from Bengaluru. Has Suresh initiated any project based on Sirisha's ideas or kids' idea? Awesome question.
I mean, no, I don't think, like I said earlier to one of your questions, right? How do I pick one particular project or one particular clause? It's not as if someone, suggested this or someone said this. It's basically what I can do for that project, whether there's a good ground team, whether I have enough information around for me to convince myself first. So to answer Vinod's question, I mean, although, like I said, Sirisha, she did mention some things back in our hometown. I mean, we both belong to Nandyal in Kurnool district. I mean, I was born there, but we moved to Hyderabad. But we both belong to the same area. So she did mention about some issues there, but I couldn't, or we couldn't pursue it because of lack of a ground team in those areas.
Awesome. Okay. And Surya, this is something as I was looking for. See, every person working for a social cause is so connected to it. If let's take NRI Samay, that means somebody will be connected deeply to it, passionate, very interested in that. And he wants the volunteers to stick to that cause, right? That's the nature of how dear that cause would be, and it's so many things attached to it. But when you keep switching, excuse me, but when you keep switching between causes, it's definitely not easy. There's a lot of people who are excited that you have contributed till date or your ideas worked wonders. But it's also equally important to understand that the other person would be unhappy that you switched. It's a fine balance, When you talk about so many different causes going parallelly, there are certain areas where you have these very passionate people, sometimes misunderstanding the kind of response they are expecting, or on something on those lines. I was asking. You have any answer to that?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that we deal with at work too, right? At work, as you grow in your current responsibility at work, you'll given more projects to manage or more things to do. It's the same here. I have like 2 or 3 different projects going on at a time. And thanks to internet, thanks to the online networking, thanks to phones, all these things make communication seamless. It doesn't matter which part of the world you are. It's just you're just an email away, you're just a phone call away, and you're done. So whatever follow-ups you need to do, you're done with like half an hour. Whatever updates you have to provide, you have your social networking groups, you have your email groups, you're done. So it's all in a day's work. That's how I look at it. So I finish my project at my work. I come home. I spend time with my kids. Blah blah blah. My wife takes care of them, and then I switch to this. This is also done. It's all in a day's work. Then I go to sleep. So I think that question of context switching never really occurred to me. It's more of, again, it goes back to the same thing. It is my responsibility, and once you feel responsible, I think you'll find a way to do it.
Right. And one fundamental problem that we have, being an NRI and being a social activist, working for causes in India, is routing the funds. It's very thin line, and a lot of people don't understand the logistics, the kind of penal codes that are involved in all of these it's a very thin line, So what kind of it's really hard for an NRI to transfer funds to the other side of the world, in India or wherever it is, So
Right.
do you feel that hindrance bothering you, Suresh? It's definitely tough. I think you need to work on this social cause as well. How to make things very simple. There are a ton of people here willing to help, but they're extremely scared that they can't do that because transferring funds, being an NRI or an OCI is very, very tough. Otherwise, the country would have been different. I think there's something that needs to be worked on this line. So what do you think about this, Suresh?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, one of my friends did suggest, he helped a lot with the Pochampalli project or the orphanage that we built in Warangal with TMAD is another organization that I'm associated with. So they are all, they all did express that we should sort of create an NGO here in the U.S. as part of which we can raise the funds. And so there's complete transparency around instead of going through personal bank accounts and doing that. That's sending the money from here. But there is one other back in India. The problem is not all these organizations have this FCRA status. For example, Kishore Tiwariji's organization, Vidarbha Jan Andolan Sangathan, that doesn't have the FCRA status, which means that I cannot, like most of the organizations here in the U.S. who want to help, they need this FCRA status. So that funding is cut off straight away. So yes, this is very frustrating. But then again, Jan Andolan Samiti, in this case, what Kishore Tiwari was saying was, since they are fighting with the government in order to get the rights back to the farmers, they were saying that they will never get the FCRA status. So yeah, this is definitely challenging, and we have to somehow work around these challenges. Because the bottom line is, we hear about all these statistics all the time, right? These many number of people die every year, or this is the number of people who are below poverty line. Within these statistics, we are hiding the actual people that make up those statistics, right? When I say 1,000 farmers died, it's not just 1,000 farmers dying. It's the entire family of 4 or 5 people who have to bear the brunt of that. So it's not just these 1,000 people. Then it's easy for us to get mixed up in these numbers. So I think we have to keep that in mind and still somehow work out the current limitations and the restrictions we have.
Right. Very true. And Suri, I think I'll have to wrap up very soon, but I can't stop it here. There are a few other questions that I want to bring it up real quick even before I wrap up, Do you talk about giving up your job? Because a lot of social activists, many people say that it's a transformation going on, and one day they're going to give up. And that's what happens with so many people. We talked to Sandeep Pandey from Asha for Education. All these people, their minds are constantly working, and finally they give up their whatever was their mainstream work. So do you talk about giving up your job?
No, honestly, I never thought of giving up my job because I want to live in a practical world. Like the practical world being, I still want to go to the movies. I still want to play cricket. I used to play cricket until last year until I injured my shoulder. Play basketball, go to the parks with my kids, do everything, be as normal as possible, and yet be responsible towards the society. If I can do that, then so can everyone else can. But if I quit my job and if I sacrifice all those things, then it will be something like, anyone looking at me will be like, I can't do what Suri is doing because he has to quit his job to do all that. I don't want that message to be conveyed, never, ever. Right? We have to be in our constraints. We have to be, as social as possible, as practical as possible, and yet just add on this one role, one responsibility to your list of roles and responsibilities. That is, be responsible to the society. And once you do that, I think you'll automatically find a way out. And I'm sure a lot of people are actually doing it. I think I'm just being very fortunate that I'm talking on NRI Summit because we are all part of one big family. So there's a lot of people back home in India, everywhere here in the U.S. There are a lot of people actually doing incredible work. And so
can you name few organizations that our listeners can get connected to?
Yeah, I mean, Akshaya Trust, Narayan Krishnan is one guy who quit his job at the age of 19 years old, and he has been doing incredible job for the past 10, 11 years, right? There was Ravi Kuchimanchi, aid founder, who gave up everything, went back to India. He and his wife were working in Srikakulam the last time I heard about him, working in the tribal remote areas of Srikakulam. Kiran Kumar Vissa, another aid volunteer who moved back to Hyderabad, quit everything. He's working on organic farming. There's Himanshu Kumarji, who is working for the cause of Chhattisgarh. There are, Kishore Tiwari-ji. And there, even through NRI Summit, I got introduced to so many of these people who I've been working with so closely. And it's the inspiration is just around us. We don't have to look for a Gandhiji or a Bhagat Singh or even Subhash Chandra Bose for inspiration. There are people living right around us every day, day in and day out, who have incredible things, just like the farm widows, right? I was reading about one farm widow. You think about it. The reason why the farmer committed suicide was he cannot pay the debt he was in, right? He could not find a way out of that situation, so he committed suicide. Think about the farm widow who has to now take on the debt, take care of the family, and yet make sure that the children have a bright future. That to me is the inspiration. Despite all the odds, she turned around. She's willing to take on this fight.
Right.
What more inspiration you need beyond that, right?
Absolutely. Very, very, very true, Suri. I think, you don't have to look to the past or history to get inspired. You have people around you. That's a fundamental message to everyone, and including me as well. So, Suri, my last question to you would be, so many things. How do you manage time? And the other side of it is, it takes a toll on your health as well, right? It's not so easy. So it's quite concerning for anyone who goes on to a level of a social activist, because I brand you as a social activist because I've been motivated. My family was motivated by your post. My wife tells that Suresh has been doing incredible work, and also in NRI Summit, the vibes that you have created. So, what do you think? How do you balance time, and how do you balance your health with other works that you do?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to my fundamental belief that this is part of my responsibility, and so I find a time no matter what. So, for example, over the weekend, my wife and I go for grocery shopping. I drive her to the grocery store. She goes inside. I stay back. I'm with my iPhone doing whatever I have to do, call whoever I have to call, and I've taken care of that little thing which I had to. I go to the park. My kid is playing there. I play with her, coming back. I take like a 5 to 10 minute break. Whatever I have to do, I do it. So I think the point I'm trying to make is that we don't have to, it might seem a lot of things that I'm doing, but in reality, given the technology that we have, given the connectivity that we have, and given all the resources that we have, imagine if you and I had to do this 20 years ago before the internet, or 30 years ago before the internet. There is no way possible for you to do anything close to what we are trying to do now, right? So thanks to all these around us all the time, even though it seems a lot, it actually is not. It's just you will manage time, and it's again the belief that you have. And this should be part of our education, and that's what is fundamentally lacking from our education system, that we are making, it's like a factory. Right? You do steps 1, 2, 3 till 10, you'll get a finished product, and this finished product is good to be sold in the market. That's what our education system is creating right now. What we are lacking here is the sensitivity, the responsibility towards the society. Once you plug that in, this finished product will be much more, much more sensitive and much more socially responsible product, which is what we need today.
Right. And again, questions are coming in. Shravant is asking, what does he need from supporters like us?
Well, like I said, we are all part of the same, family. We should all be looking out for each other, not just for each. When I say each other, not people here in the U.S., but each other back home in India as well. So there could be something that you feel strongly about. You just start socializing it, start sharing it, or when I have a project and you strongly believe in it, you take the leadership, and that's what I'm basically hoping that whoever has sort of come forward to help, we need to take this to the next level, and that is they need to become their own leaders and take this project forward by getting 20 other more people involved in this project, and that's the way the chain reactions should start. So one person reaching out to 3 more people, and those 3 more people reaching out to 3 more people. If we go that route, then we are basically building a whole network. The Facebook is great, networking, but it also has a downside to it. The downside being, I think that the tendency is, if I like a post or share a post or comment on a post, my responsibility towards that ends there. Right? Same goes with the petitions also. When I sign a petition, my responsibility doesn't end with the petition. My responsibility is that I need to get as many people as possible to sign that petition, and also petition is a way to create awareness. So there is a lot of these things that as individuals we can take lead on, and that's what we need. Everyone should be a leader and take this forward. It's not something new, right? We do this every day. As I was telling you earlier, you are a wife, you are a mother, you are a sister, you are a daughter, you are everything. And so add on this little aspect.
Yeah, my goodness, Suri, I'm getting questions again. I don't know where to stop this. You have Shivaji from Hyderabad asking, do you plan to enter active politics like Haima Praveen?
I don't have a definite answer, but I certainly don't like the people who are running this for us, who are ruling, who are part of the government. And so the only way that's going to stop is if we replace them. And so there is, I'm not denying that I won't, but I just don't know. I don't have a definite answer, the stage where I am right now. But at least to that extent, as I was mentioning earlier, I will definitely help those who have already taken that plunge.
Okay. Sounds interesting. And Suresh, I really want to thank you very much for your time today. And also, we are truly delighted because you being part of NRI Samay, your contribution towards NRI Samay is also incredible. And we truly appreciate all the help that you do at NRI Samay. And also, it's part of family, so I don't want to go too much into it. But any suggestions for NRI Samay? You think it's going in the right direction?
Srikant, you and Sri Hari are the founding fathers of NRI Samay, and you established a platform that is unlike anything else that I've seen. That's why the day I heard the first interview, which was the RTI, I believe, of this farmer who was being harassed, I decided to join this platform. So, you guys are doing incredible work, and and thank you very much for giving this family-like talk time for me. Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely, Suresh. It's just not a family-like talk. It's incredible work that talks loads about you and also the work you do. And I was also mentioning on my Facebook post multiple times, even on NRI Samay, and I would request all our listeners to follow us on NRI Samay Facebook page, facebook.com/NRI Samay. And the most important thing of doing this show is that if there's any significant thing that's going on that could benefit the people back in country or anywhere around us, any social causes, I was mentioning that this NRI Social Activist, Suresh Ediga, is arms away from watching you closely, thinking on how to help you and with your efforts or issues that you're facing. So I truly believe in that, and that's exactly the reason why we have posted that as well on Facebook. And watching you from the past 2 years, Suri, loads of effort, loads of initiatives, and also it took me loads of effort to dig the core of your actions as far as social activism is concerned. the Bhopal gas tragedy victims, the widows of helping out the Bhopal gas tragedy victims, even till date after 30 years of that incident, helping the widows of Vidarbha farm suicides. The Matlam RO water plant that I think I'm very sure that you've been instrumental in making that happen. 20 years old water problem that was solved. Also helping the Nalgonda fluorosis problem. I remember Pranamya Suri was on NRI Samai, and immediately you took up that initiative, and it's a completed project. I think that particular area is right now having the RO plant as well. The gun control campaign that you've taken after the Sandy Hook elementary shooting, Sandy storm cleanup, along with other friends, Rajini Karaturi Garu, Srinivas Garu, and all of those people, very amazing people that I've seen. And Pochampalli Weavers, Easypura rehabilitation efforts, Akshaya Foundation, the list goes on, multiple actions for Adivasi society in Chhattisgarh. And Suresh, thank you very much for being with us, and also thank you for all the work that you do for the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for the pleasant surprise. That moment I'll cherish for the rest of my life. That was really very, very, it'll stay very close to my heart.
Oh, thank you, Suresh. And convey our thanks to Suresh Ediga as well, and she's the fundamental driving force for all this to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that was a pleasant surprise. I was mentioning bringing on Sirisha on this call. That was really something very special. Thank you.
Thanks, Suresh. Have a good time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, friends, that was Suresh Ediga today live on NRI Samai. I hope you enjoyed the show, and do listen to all NRI Samai shows, archive shows on youtube.com/NRI Samai. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/NRI Samai. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/NRI Samai. Do listen to our live shows every Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. Pacific USA time, 11 a.m. Eastern USA time, 9:30 p.m. India time, and also you can listen, if you're from London, friends can listen to our shows at 4 p.m. London GMT time. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Srikanth signing off.